Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, we're diving back into the world of movies, but this time with a special twist. 10 incredible movies you probably haven't seen. This list features movies that even the most avid film enthusiasts might have only seen 2 or 3 of. All these masterpieces have achieved remarkable success, but for various reasons, they haven't received the recognition they truly deserve. Many of these films have flown under the radar simply because they're not Hollywood productions. However, in their home countries, they've garnered immense praise and admiration. No need to worry about spoilers. The introductions are completely spoiler-free, and I won't take up too much of your time. Let's get straight to the list. The first movie we're introducing is a fascinating sci-fi film called Predestination, starring Ethan Hawke. This film might not be as well known to many, but it's actually one of the most creative takes on time travel out there. Based on the story All You Zombies, the plot itself is so intriguing and complex that, when combined with the film, it creates an unforgettable experience. What's interesting about this film is that it's hard to box it into a single genre. It seamlessly moves between multiple genres, which is part of what makes it so unique and exciting. The story follows a special agent working for an organization that manages time travel. His initial mission is to find a bomber and prevent a major catastrophe. But when he fails in his mission, he decides to use time travel to go back to 1970s New York, where he becomes a bartender while still trying to solve the mystery of his previous failure. The plot takes a turn when he meets a person named John, whose past is deeply mysterious and strange. From this point, the film delves into a series of twists and turns that will completely surprise you. This film was directed by two brothers, Michael Spierig and Peter Spierig, who were also behind the famous Saw films. Like Saw, which is known for its unpredictable twists, Predestination follows a similar path with its unexpected and complex narrative. Although it wasn't widely recognized globally, Predestination is considered a standout in the sci-fi genre. Interestingly, despite receiving an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes and 69 on Metacritic, it didn't do well at the American box office and struggled to recoup its modest $5 million budget. The second movie we want to introduce is a fantastic sci-fi film called Gattaca, starring Ethan Hawke once again. This film is one of those brilliant and creative works that didn't receive much attention when it was released. However, over time, critics have come to realize that the film was ahead of its time, and to truly appreciate it, you need an open mind. Released in 1997, the film wasn't widely embraced at the time due to its complex and forward-thinking themes. The director of this piece, Andrew Niccol, is well known for his creative and futuristic approach, as seen in his previous work, like In Time. Gattaca paints a picture of a future where humans are not only designed genetically, but are given a predetermined path in life based on their genetic makeup. In this world, people born naturally, without genetic modification, are destined to live limited lives, while those with enhanced genetic traits, such as perfect looks, good health, and intellectual abilities, get access to opportunities that allow them to lead successful lives. Our protagonist, Vincent Freeman, played by Ethan Hawke, is an exception. Born naturally and without any genetic enhancements, he is doomed from the start to a life of limited opportunities. In this society, people like him are relegated to the lowest positions, and it seems almost impossible to rise above that. He has no hope of ever achieving anything more than being a regular worker. But Vincent doesn't give up on his dreams. His ultimate goal is to become an astronaut. To achieve this, he embarks on a clever and daring plan. He meets Jerome Morrow, a man who possesses perfect genetic traits, but has been paralyzed in an accident. Vincent decides to take Jerome's identity and use his genetic data to infiltrate the space program. In the world of Gattaca, every move is monitored, and even the smallest mistake can destroy a person's life. As Vincent struggles to succeed in this oppressive system and achieve his dream, he faces numerous challenges and obstacles. Will he make it? That's the big question that makes this film so captivating and full of unexpected twists. What's particularly interesting about this film is that despite its complex storyline and futuristic themes, It was made with a modest budget of only $36 million and only grossed $12 million at the box office. Initially, it was a commercial failure, but over time, it gained a cult following and is now recognized as one of the greatest sci-fi films. The next film I want to introduce is one of the best movies from Spain, The Sea Inside, Mar Adentro, starring Javier Bardem. Released in 2004, this film won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film. However, due to its non-Hollywood origin, it didn't receive the global recognition it deserved. This is an incredibly emotional and heartbreaking drama that will truly touch your soul. The director of the film, Alejandro Amenabar, is one of Spain's finest filmmakers, and if you've seen his previous work, such as the haunting horror thriller The Others, you'll recognize his exceptional talent in crafting intense stories. The Sea Inside is based on the real-life story of Ramon Sampedro, a man who, while diving, suffers a tragic accident that leaves him paralyzed from the neck down, losing all ability to move. Struggling with his new reality, Ramon seeks the right to end his own life, believing that this is the only way to regain control over his fate. Throughout the film, Ramon's fight for his right to die takes him to the courts, where his plea for euthanasia is repeatedly denied. Despite these setbacks, he continues his quest and, in the process, encounters various people who challenge his perspective on life. It's here that he discovers something unexpected. Even in the most challenging and heartbreaking circumstances, true love and human connection can be deeply inspiring. As Ramon seeks the end of his life, he ultimately finds a new understanding of what it means to truly live. Javier Bardem's deeply nuanced performance is a major highlight of this film, bringing a profound depth to his character. The Sea Inside was made on a modest budget of only $10 million, but despite that, it achieved incredible commercial success, grossing over $43 million globally. For a non-Hollywood production, that's an outstanding performance at the box office. The next two films I want to introduce are complex mysteries that will keep you on the edge of your seat until the very last moment. It's not easy to find films that can keep their mysteries hidden so well and mislead the audience until the end. The first film, Incendies, is one of those films that received very little attention. The director of this masterpiece is Denis Villeneuve, one of the greatest filmmakers in cinema, whose name you've probably heard. You might have enjoyed his other acclaimed works like Arrival, Prisoners, Blade Runner 2049, or Dune. But what many people don't know is that Incendies was one of his early masterpieces that got his name heard in the cinema world. Later he became famous for his other works, and this film got overshadowed by his bigger hits, but it's still one of those essential films that deserves more recognition. Released in 2010, the film follows the story of a brother and sister who are given their late mother's will, asking them to return to the Middle East to find their father and brother, who have been separated for years. The brother decides not to go, but the sister refuses to give up. She embarks on her journey, facing not only the dangers posed by ISIS, but also putting her own life at risk. The film doesn't just touch on political and social issues, but also delves deep into the emotional and internal struggles of its characters. One of the most striking aspects of this film is its shocking ending, which consistently ranks among the best films with unexpected endings. As you become more involved in the story, you'll think you've figured it out, only to be hit with a harsh and surprising reality in the final moments that will leave you stunned. Made with a budget of $6 million, Incendies grossed $16 million at the box office, which is an impressive success for a non-Hollywood independent film. Next, we have the second mystery film, Primal Fear. This crime mystery film is one of those that remains captivating even after many years. The story starts with Edward Norton playing a young man who's accused of murdering a famous priest and is put on trial. As the story unfolds, a top lawyer, Richard Gere, decides to defend him, even though defending him seems impossible. As the film progresses, the twists and turns keep building, and the audience starts to think they've figured out the ending. But in the final minutes, they will be completely shocked. What makes this film special is Edward Norton's outstanding performance, as he portrays a multi-layered character whose truth remains uncertain throughout. The film has not only a compelling story but also incredibly well-developed characters. Despite being made with a budget of $33 million and grossing $100 million at the box office, Primal Fear is not as widely remembered by the new generation. With a score of 77 on Rotten Tomatoes and 7.7 on IMDb, the film has performed well with critics and audiences, but it remains one of those films that is often overlooked. Now that I've introduced two mystery films, let me tell you about a crime film. The name of this movie is Amores Perros, which translates to Love's a Bitch. The director of this film is Alejandro González Iñárritu, the same person who has now become a well-known name in Hollywood with films like Birdman and The Revenant, the latter of which won Leonardo DiCaprio his first Oscar. But before his Hollywood success, Amores Perros was a Mexican film that didn't get the recognition it deserved, mainly because of its Mexican origin. This film is part of the Death Trilogy, which includes 21 Grams and Babel. If you've seen those two, you already know the kind of storytelling style Iñárritu uses. In this film, the story revolves around three families who are all connected by the same car accident. The film starts with this crash, and throughout the movie, we see it from various perspectives. These three families share a lot in common. They all have troubled relationships with their loved ones, but share a unique bond with dogs. The title, Amores Perros, comes from the fact that dogs fill the emotional void in these people's lives. What makes this film truly special is how it interweaves these seemingly separate and small stories into one big, profound narrative. If you've seen Babel, you'll recognize Iñárritu's ability to connect small, unrelated events into a larger, impactful story. In 2000, the film won the Best Film Award at the Cannes Film Festival. It holds a score of 83% on Rotten Tomatoes and an impressive 8.1 on IMDb, which speaks to its critical success. Despite having a modest budget of just $2 million, it managed to earn a staggering $220 million at the box office, proving that films with deep emotional stories and raw human connections can resonate universally and achieve global success. The next three films I want to introduce offer unique cinematic experiences, each with its own special qualities. The first in this collection is The Best Offer, directed by Giuseppe Tornatore, one of the most renowned Italian filmmakers. You might have seen his famous films such as Malena or Cinema Paradiso, which are both critically acclaimed works. The title, The Best Offer, translates to Best Proposal, and the story centers on an older man named Vittorio, who lives in the world of fine arts and rare, valuable pieces. This man is cold, grumpy, and ill-tempered, but everything in his life is controlled by a sense of order and discipline. Vittorio is an art dealer, and in addition to his professional life, he has a personal collection of priceless artworks. He generally avoids social interactions and spends most of his time organizing and selling pieces from his collection. But one day, his life changes when he meets a young woman named Verna, who suffers from social phobia. She is terrified of crowded places and avoids social gatherings, causing her to live in isolation. Vittorio, this grumpy, emotionless man, slowly becomes entwined in Verna's life. He proposes that she sell all the artwork inherited from her late father, suggesting it would help her move forward. However, before anything can happen, Vittorio unexpectedly falls in love with her. The film starts to weave its twists and turns as the story unfolds with remarkable complexity. Tornatore masterfully tells the story with several unexpected narrative developments that keep the audience engaged. The reactions to this film were mixed and rather surprising. While critics did not give it high ratings, the general public embraced it. For example, on IMDb, the film earned a solid 8.7/10 rating. Critics, however, were more critical, giving it only 56 on Meta and 41 on Rotten Tomatoes. Despite these mixed reviews, the film did exceptionally well at the box office. With a production budget of $19 million, it grossed $220 million worldwide, a remarkable achievement for a film with such a niche subject matter. The best offer is a love story that not only beautifully portrays the relationship between two very different characters, but also leaves a profound impact on the viewer both emotionally and visually. Tornatore's exquisite direction makes even the smallest details of the story and characters significant, allowing the audience to fully immerse themselves in the film. If you're looking for a deep romantic film with intriguing narrative twists that will make you reflect, the best offer is definitely a worthwhile choice. The second romantic film I want to introduce is Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, Bam, Mol, Senshin, Spring. This film was directed by the renowned Korean director Kim Ki-duk, who you might have seen films like 3 Iron or The Bow from. This is one of those movies that requires you to prepare yourself for an experience of serenity and silence. The pace of the film is slow and gentle, filled with stunning visual shots that portray moments of nature in a calm and profound way. The framing and cinematography are beautifully composed, aiming to convey a sense of peace to the viewer. The story revolves around a person who decides to leave behind the hectic and stressful urban life to become a Buddhist monk. The film is divided into 5 distinct sections, each representing a different phase in this person's life and their spiritual transformations. As the monk faces challenges and profound changes in each phase of his life, the film depicts these stages of growth and introspection. The sections span over different time periods, with some parts of the film taking place 10 to 20 years apart. The film offers a new and deep meaning of life and personal change. It is designed in such a way that, while it may seem simple at first glance, it ultimately offers a deeper understanding of human and spiritual concepts. Although this film won several awards at global festivals like those in Poland, South Korea, and Hong Kong, it did not receive significant recognition at the Oscars or the BAFTA Awards. However, in terms of reviews, it performed very well and was well received by audiences. This is one of those films that, with its calmness and simplicity, conveys deep philosophical lessons about life. The third romantic film I want to introduce is Portrait of a Lady on Fire. This French film, made in 2019, is one of those cinematic gems that didn't receive the attention it truly deserved. The story takes place in the 18th century and revolves around a young French painter who is tasked with creating a wedding portrait. The catch is that the bride is unaware of this, and the painter must observe her throughout the day to capture her likeness by night. Over time, these two women grow closer, and the bride is able to spend her last few moments of freedom with a new friend before a forced and inevitable marriage takes place. As the story unfolds, an emotional and intricate bond forms between the painter and the bride. The painter watches the bride's final days before her arranged marriage, and through their fleeting connection, both women learn from each other in profound ways. The bride, in this brief time, gets to experience the last moments of her independence, knowing that her life is about to be dictated by social constraints. Visually, the film is stunning, with breathtaking framing and beautiful nature shots, evoking an atmosphere that draws the audience into its world. The actors deliver subtle yet powerful performances, perfectly portraying the themes of love, longing, and regret. With a budget of $5 million, the film grossed $11 million at the box office, which was a relative success. However, it quickly faded from the list of top films. Despite this, Portrait of a Lady on Fire truly deserved more recognition due to its emotional depth and visual brilliance. The last film I want to introduce is a war movie titled Letters from Iwo Jima. Directed by Clint Eastwood, one of the greatest filmmakers in history, this film initially received minimal attention. One of the main reasons for this was its bold critique of the United States during World War II. Even the Japanese considered it unrealistic. Despite the controversy, this film is truly a masterpiece in storytelling and deserves to be watched. The story takes place on Iwo Jima, one of Japan's strategically important islands during the final years of World War II. The island becomes the battleground between American forces and the Japanese Empire. The Japanese are desperately trying to prevent the island from falling into American hands because losing it could be the first step toward an American attack on Japan's mainland. The general in charge of defending Iwo Jima is a strict and uncompromising leader, pushing his soldiers to sacrifice everything for the island. However, as expected, internal conflicts arise within the Japanese army. The film delves deeply into the internal struggles of the Japanese soldiers, particularly focusing on those who could no longer align with the harsh and unyielding military rules. Some of them begin writing letters about the horrors they experience, detailing the deaths of their comrades and the fear they carry. These letters are sent to both the United States and Japan, offering a poignant anti-war perspective from within the war itself. Eastwood brilliantly portrays the contrasts and emotional depth of the characters, showing how he masterfully humanizes the narrative of war. Interestingly, a follow-up film titled Flags of Our Fathers tells the same story of Iwo Jima from the American side, providing a balanced, dual perspective on the same battle. Through these two films, Eastwood explores the emotional and human aspects of both sides of the conflict. Letters from Iwo Jima holds an 8.1 rating on IMDb, and, with a budget of $20 million, it managed to gross nearly $70 million at the box office. This film is not only a remarkable war story, but also an anti-war statement and a profound human narrative set against the backdrop of World War II. Well, dear friends, here's today's video. I hope I've managed to put together an interesting and unique list of films that you may not have seen yet, and help you step away from the usual repetitive film recommendations. Now it's your turn to share any lesser-known movies that you found captivating and well-made in the comments section. Also, if there are any films from this list that you haven't seen yet, feel free to mention them, and if you've already watched one, share your thoughts with everyone so we can all benefit from different perspectives. If you liked this video, please give it a like, and until the next one, I hope you're always in your best state.